Hi, I'm Dave Worzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight is on education, and specifically we're talking with Principal Eric Olsen from Stagg High School in Palos Hills. Principal Olsen, thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
It's always a pleasure to meet and talk with you, a fellow District 230 person. And in this case, specifically, we'll talk about what's going on at Stagg, but we're taking a look at, the state of education in general, like looking back. And, I want to talk about your background as a principal also, but a little bit about education seems to be moving towards its new normal, right? We hear that expression all the time. Right. That doesn't mean you're not still dealing with challenges, almost left over from the pandemic. Before we do that, can you talk a little bit about your background, Principal? How long have you been in education?
Sure. I've been in education since 1996.
Wow. Congratulations. Some longevity there.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. And I will be starting my 18th year as principal at Amos Lonzo Stagg. Yeah, I'm an oddity, in that I've been blessed to be there for so long.
Yeah, I would say double congratulations, because I do feel like the education, there's a turnover faster now, and when you find people who are good at their job and get into it, enjoy that, it's a special opportunity for the school.
Yeah,
that type of stability that it brings.
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky, to serve the community that we serve.
Great school to work
at Stagg High School. Yeah, it's a wonderful school, incredible staff, but ultimately, as you know, it really comes down to the kids, right? Is that the kids are the ones that make the personality of that school, and really are kind of the inspiration and the drive to come in and work for them and work for the community each and every day.
Yeah, I would say the job becomes more fun if you don't have to dread going to work, if you like who you're going to get to work with, the students and the faculty, the staff. Well, good. That's nice to hear. How about if you look back at what you guys went through the last couple years and now what last year looked like? And last year it seems like everything was almost in full normal mode, whatever that looked like. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you faced last year, some that maybe were expected, you knew that you were going to have to navigate this, maybe some that were unexpected?
I think last year went exceptionally well. I think the previous year, I would say, is where not only at Stagg and District 230, but really across the nation, did you see kind of the issues of transitioning back, because that truly was the year that the phasing was occurring as the year was going on. Last year was the first true year from start to finish that we were able to offer all of the opportunities, all of the experiences that students, prior to March of 2020, were able to have. So, the challenges were still there in some respect, but at a much lower level. Generally speaking, issues of social and emotional issues related to students and within kind of crisis and those sorts of things abated some, but we had the previous year already begun to put in place trainings and practices with our staffs, like trauma-informed practices, really kind of focusing on learning what sorts of experiences the students had, what they're coming to us with, and really working on meeting them where they're at and helping that transition over. So we began that in that transition year, and then last year we still saw issues related to attendance, those sorts of things. Definitely still an increase in students who experience social and emotional crisis, but not nearly to the degree that we had experienced the prior year.
Right. I'm listening to, and thank you. That was a great segue into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. I remember my last year, which was the year the COVID, shut down the schools in March. I remember actually having a trauma institute training, or in-service training, and I remember at the time thinking it was a great learning experience, the kind of thing that probably wished I'd had about 25 years ago.
Right.
But the thing that was so alarming, I remember her doing the stats on it, that the number, like there's always a percentage of kids in your class who have experienced trauma, but then she was talking about the percentage that went up because of COVID, and in a variety of ways, it shot way up.
Right.
And then you had teachers trying to deal with it, at first remotely, and then in that hybrid thing, and now back in the classroom. An incredible challenge. And it sounds like from what you're saying, when I think about it, I had to train, District 230 was in front of this a little bit. They were probably a little better equipped to manage it, I would think.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And I think the key is when you use the word trauma, right, is I think people think of very extreme things, right? And there's a spectrum of trauma.
And what might be traumatic to one person is not necessarily trauma causing to another person.
Exactly, exactly. And so those are many of the things that we learned, right? And you can't paint with a broad brush on how you support students.
Yeah, and that, the next question was a two-parter, and I think we've addressed the first part was, the social and emotional learning thing, which has become a very powerful presence in education now, the realization that we have to address this stuff, The other thing we've heard a lot about the last couple of years, I'm sure you're facing also, is the dip in test scores. I don't think people were surprised by that the impact of the pandemic and the change in educational models wasn't going to be a steady experience.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit how Stagg specifically has addressed some of the things that have resulted? What was the experience like at Stagg in that area?
Yeah, and kind of in the realm of academics, right? What we saw, I think, is what a lot of schools did, right? Just the lack of exposure to content, right? Because of the environment that we were teaching in.
Yeah, it was very constraining for sure.
It really was, but I think the other reality is that people have to realize is everyone was experiencing that. Right. And so your measures and your metrics for those classes remain consistent, but and as an educator, the resiliency of students, right, and the ability to rebound and to accelerate their learning is really remarkable. And we definitely saw that rebound and that resilience. And the example that I give is people were always wondering, and working in a high school, are these kids going to be able to go into colleges? What colleges are they going to get into? Are test scores going to inhibit them? Are those sorts of things? This year we had 3 students go to University of Chicago, Duke,
the top
Penn.
institutions in the country.
We did not see a lag, and this was the class of 2023. They were freshmen when the school shut down. Right, and so I think that attributes to their resilience.
That I think also raises, now I'm thinking about it, the debate over the test scores and what they mean and how they're used in entrance exams for colleges. There are other metrics out there to see if our kids rebounded, like you're saying, and how well they're doing. And obviously, college admission would probably be a pretty good indicator.
Yeah.
Are the kids moving on? Are they getting into careers? Are they going to school or into service? And are they succeeding there? I thought about that this is this senior class this year was the first. I mean, they had their first truly normal year, actually, with dances and co-curriculars and clubs and then the classroom experience. And it sounds like they've done okay.
They've done very well at Stagg, and really our participation rate in our co-curriculars was higher, right, than pre-pandemic.
Wow.
Right. So our students took advantage of the opportunities. They were hungry for it. They knew what they were missing.
Right. They developed an appreciation.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, they definitely did, and were very successful in those realms as well. So again, it comes down to that resiliency of our students, and really that hunger and appetite to succeed.
Yeah, no, that's nice to hear that they recovered that way, that they finished out on such a positive direction. All right, so let's kind of move on then let's move to the positives. So going forward into this next year, and I'm assuming Stagg H, I've been at Sandburg lately, there's so many projects on. I think there's a perception that schools get quiet in the summer, and they're maybe a little bit quieter, but you know, and I've driven by Stagg, the parking lot is full half the time, and I know there's, you know, sports and clubs and all kinds of activities going on in addition to construction.
Right.
How about, can you talk to a little bit about what are some of the projects going on around the school, and then also, are there new initiatives in curriculum or expectations from the state that the school has to address going into next school year?
Yeah. So, well, there's a lot going on at Stagg right now, and I think every year you have improvements or small projects that are being done, but at Stagg we have a number, so it has not been quiet since the first day, and so we began our work on a 2-year, 2-phase expansion project that, when completed, will include 11 new standard classrooms, 4 science labs, conference room, staff work areas, a variety of offices, but also an outdoor second-story science learning center that will include a greenhouse, green space, and areas for urban gardening, a whole series of things really to supplement our science program. So
that sounds incredible. It sounds like the thing at the Museum of Science and Industry, where they have that home in the garden, like the next generation living.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely tremendous, and you know, as you know, Stagg's footprint, we don't have a lot of area,
very tight land,
really kind of outside, but we do have courtyards in the interiors of the school, and so in 2 of those interiors is where we're going to be doing the construction. So it is unique. It's not an addition that's outside of the school walls. It literally is going on right in the middle of the school.
Are there now? It sounds like some of this is going to impact some curricular things. Are there other curricular things going on or developments?
Yeah. So with special services in our multi-needs program, our Ultima program, we are also in the middle of constructing basically a culinary arts lab for students with disabilities, but it is specifically designed to meet their needs. So not only ADA compliant, but also a number of other, really kind of unique parts of the facility that really allow students to learn not only life skills, but also participate in micro businesses and really just afford them the accessibility that I think previously that they didn't have.
Nice.
In addition to that, we have projects going on. We've got a year-long turf project as well. That
is this the softball field?
This would be the baseball and the softball field. It's been very frustrating, the length of time, but there is indeed turf on the baseball field now, and in the next 2 weeks they should be finishing that up and then shifting over to the softball field. So,
like the Sandburg baseball coach, they said the turf field is like a game changer in terms of not just the play, but practice and use of and quality of surface and all those things.
It really opens up opportunities beyond just baseball and softball as well, right? Our fine arts programming, our marching band, all of those can utilize that space as well.
You're not worried about them tearing it up, you know, if it's
Right.
grass or getting chewed up, or PE classes can use it.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're
Right.
right. It goes beyond just those two sports,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and then generally looking at the district, there's not a lot of state requirements that are going into play this year, but as a district, we've developed our strategic framework, which contains 10 goals within that strategic framework. And within that, we have our areas of focus, which includes expanding dual credit opportunities for students in a number of different classes across the district, providing more opportunities for really kind of hands-on real-world learning that's occurring, and we have classes like our entrepreneurship class, those sorts of things where our numbers are just exploding. And so really kind of, I think, taps into students' desires not only to learn, but also to apply their learning in the actual real world.
Right. Moving from like the textbook or classroom to how does this work in the real world type of experience.
Right.
No, it sounds like there's a lot of great things going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, maybe that kind of, I got a final two questions here for you, or 2.5 questions. One thing that I really find interesting about education as a profession, and I think I begin to like and appreciate more over time, is the kind of recharge, reset quality there is to it, so that even though things are very active, whether it's curriculum work or infrastructure work in the summer, there is a time to kind of process what happened, where we're at, and what we look like going forward. And I kind of thinking about that a little bit, for you specifically, what does that reset or recharge look like for you going into next year?
Yeah. Well, that reflection is very important, right? Not only just in education and in the workplace, but I think generally in
for everybody,
life.
For sure. And educators are almost forced to do it, right, by the nature of our calendar.
Right. But we are blessed in that we have a fresh start every year, right? It is a brand new year. Not all jobs or organizations are like that, right? And so we have those kind of hallmark moments. It's the beginning of the year. We start off with Institute Day. We get our freshman class, and it happens every year. And really kind of looking at next year, I think it is tapping into the energy that we found in this previous year, right? That students were engaged. They wanted to be back. They were excited about learning. They were excited about being in school. They were excited about being engaged. And so you don't want to let that wane.
That's a nice energy to be able to tap into.
Yeah.
And here we are in July, but that's a month away. That's kind of exciting to look forward to, I would think. Right?
Yeah. So we're looking to leverage that energy, and really students are going to be seeing over the course of the next 2 years a lot of new and exciting things actually growing and developing within the building, with the construction project, with all those sorts of things.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. So although it'll be a little bit of a unique environment, with construction really kind of going on continuously, I think it definitely sends a message to our students and our community, right, that they value this, they deserve this, and that they have things to look forward to in the investment that the district has put into Stagg High School.
I'm sure. As a student, as a parent, to see that happening in your school, that something special is being created, that this is an active, dynamic place. It sounds like maybe we're getting to the B part of that question, that is, what do you like best about your job, or even hoping to accomplish, like, this is what I like to do, and this is what you look forward to in the morning?
You know what, it really comes down to, my passion is working with the different components of an organization, all of those different separate components. how do you make them work together?
That could be a tall order.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of divergent perspectives coming at this thing.
Yeah, and so it's really a systems approach, right? And taking a look at systems and how to make it work. And I use the analogy of a school that's very much a living organism, right? If you were to peel the roof off of a school, right, and you see those hallways and the movements of students and stuff, it really is like blood moving through to different organs, to different, it's a living, breathing place that people belong in, that students belong in. And really, our job in administration and in the main office is to make sure that all of those organs, all of those functions are working together in tandem and supporting one another. Again, with the ultimate outcome of really kind of producing the best educational experience for a student.
Right. As an English teacher, I love the use of a good metaphor, a good analogy. That's a good one. It's interesting too when you bring it up like that, because even though you might have divergent perspectives or diverse backgrounds coming at things or different perspectives, ultimately everybody's trying to make the same thing happen. A great educational experience, a great co-curricular experience, and it's a very living kind of dynamic process. It moves, it's a moving part. Maybe related to that, this would be my last question for you then. So trying to do all that, as that central administrator in that process, where do you draw your inspiration from to, help you meet those challenges, to, get excited about and help impart that energy in others?
I'd have to say it really is the Stagg community, and as I shared, I've been blessed to work there for a very long time, and I think they are that inspiration that keeps me there. It's the students, it's the staff, it's the families, it's the Stagg community that we serve each and every day, and we take that service very, very seriously, and we have to, and so when I'm in school and I have the opportunities to interact and work with students to see what they've accomplished. Taking a look at just our most recent graduating class of 2023, they are just an inspiration, right? That they were thrown, a curveball, right? That I couldn't even imagine as someone who's 13, 14 years old, right? And to see how they persevered, and how can that not be inspiring, right? How can that not make you want to go back each and every day and say, okay, how can we make this even work better? And that energy, I think, is what I come to school with every day, and when I sit down in the principal's chair, and that's the way I look at it. It's not my chair; it's the principal's chair, and I have to serve that position.
You're the keeper, the guardian of it, right?
Yeah, I have to serve that position, and every day I have to come to work and say, okay, I have to be the best principal I can possibly be, and live up to the expectations of that chair. And so that's what gets me to come and sit down and try and find all of the different ways that we can support our students and our staff in that ultimate goal of working to produce just really global citizens who have all of the skills to be incredibly successful in the world.
Yeah, it is exciting when you put it in that language. Going to school where you can get energized by the people you're working with, the young people you're working with. I can look forward to that. It's not like you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to deal with today? No, there's energy here, and there's good things happening, and kids are excited, or faculty are excited about doing things. That's a lot to do. I understand how you can do 18 years, and hopefully there's a bunch more. I know you maybe don't want another 18, but whatever it is.
18 more would be a little tough, but I really am lucky and blessed every day to be able to sit in that chair and to serve the Stagg community.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That is a fortunate career. I don't know that we can all speak to that, that experience, but that's a wonderful blessing. Principal Olsen, thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thanks, Dave. Always a pleasure.
Excited for the things going on at Stagg. It sounds like there's a lot of cool things going on, a lot for people to look forward to in the next year or two. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
I'm Dave Wurzel, and you've been watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight has been on education, and specifically we've been talking with Principal Eric Olsen from Stagg High School in Palos Hills. Thank you for watching.